And commitment, it's a noun. It can be used as a noun. However, commitment can mean different things. It can mean a duty. It can mean an obligation. It can mean a pledge, a resolution. Think about that when you hear the word resolution. Resolution and commitment kind of go hand in hand. And what do most people do once a year? Around the beginning of the year. The end of the year to the beginning of the year. They make a New Year's resolution. Essentially, they're making a commitment, most likely to themselves. Well, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to do something else. They're all fired up about it because of the rally behind all the people or the parties that they might be at, and are posting about this commitment, this resolution. How many people really follow through with that resolution? So they're essentially letting themselves down. They committed to themselves, personally, to do this or that. And they just don't follow through with it. The same way with we think we might be committing ourselves to do something for God. And it's so easy to not follow through with it. In Psalms chapter 37 and verse 5, it reads, "Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He will act." Think about that. Commit your way to the Lord. Ask Him. You can't do it on your own. You have to do it through prayer. And commit yourself to Him and ask Him. Trust in Him. You've got to have that trust in Him. And He will act. He will respond to you. It's very clear. And it was funny, I used my little handheld phone this week. I got a great concordance reference in that. It's even faster than my PC when I put the word commit or commitment in. And that's the first scripture that came up that I looked at. And I'm saying, wow. So essentially what this particular chapter verse is saying, it says, we must make God our guide. We can't be our own guide. We must make God our guide and submit, or rather make a commitment on everything in our lives to His guidance and disposal. Then all of our affairs, all of our problems, all of our troubles, all of our worries, even those that seem to be the most difficult and challenging, He will work with us. He will help us come to a resolution. Now, that resolution may not be what we're expecting. It might be, gee, I'm behind and I really need to get ahead. Well, He might bring you to just an even Steven. He might not get you to get ahead. He says, I'm just going to bless you to get you even. Or I'm going to continue to provide to you each and every day. Might not be the answer you're looking for. You're turning it over to Him, but He's giving us a roof over our heads. He's giving us food to eat. He's providing for our every need. So oftentimes we think, oh, and then it's easy to just stop committing ourselves to God and stop turning over to God. But in reality, we should say, cast thy burden upon the Lord. The burden of thy care. Cast that burden on Him. He's going to care for us. But remember, it's not what we want, it's what He wants for us. He will continue to challenge us, to discourage us, to make us envious of things that others might have. That's Satan working in us. But we oftentimes forget about casting our burden onto Him. We must roll it off ourselves so as not to worry ourselves about thoughts and problems for future events. I heard the term worry here earlier. Worry, in my opinion, is energy that's spent that gets you nowhere. When you worry about something, it's wasted effort and energy. It gets you nowhere. But when you go in prayer and ask God to guide you for the resolution and turn those worries over to Him, you do start to feel a lot better. You're not as stressed out. You're not as uptight when you turn it over to Him. And that's a very difficult thing to do, is to cast thy burden upon the Lord. Linda, if you would please, I'm going to put you on the spot. Turn to Matthew chapter 6 and verse 25 for me. It should be all red letter, that's why I picked on you.
Matthew 6:25.
25, and read that for us.
For this reason I say to you, do not be worried about your life as to what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body as to what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?
Thank you. So what's Jesus saying here? He's saying not to trouble ourselves. Don't worry about it. Refer to God. Leave it to Him by His wise and good providence, and allow Him to dispose of our concerns as He pleases. And I know a lot of people worry about things all the time. It's hard. That's Satan. He's working on us, because if we're worrying about it, we're not committing ourselves to turn it over to God. We're trying to do it ourselves, and we can't. Worry doesn't solve anything. But by turning it over, He's going to lead us into an area that's going to show us a path. It's going to show us a direction. And we're going to go, you know what? Couldn't have thought it out on my own, but He'll inspire us. Now, my recent sermons have been about one-word topics. And I feel it's important that there's a linkage of these topics. Some of the topics that I've done recently are discipline, obedience, respect, temptation. They link together. Without the discipline for ourselves and without the respect of God, and without being obedient, we're not going to be committing ourselves to God, making that commitment. So, this week's topic is no different. I feel very strongly about commitment. There's been commitments that I have made in my life. Some of them are. My relationship with God. I didn't have that earlier in my life, but I made a commitment to build a relationship with God. Just like we might make a commitment to build a relationship with a friend. It's real easy to build a relationship with a friend. You're committing to each other a bit. I made a commitment to build a relationship with God. And it's something that doesn't happen overnight. It happens through prayer. It happens through trust. It happens through obedience. It happens through discipline. It happens through respect. I made a commitment for marriage. I made a commitment after I was married with my wife, something that I really didn't think I wanted to do, to learn how to ballroom dance. I was blessed as a result of that, because then there was a financial gain. And I had no idea that the Lord was blessing me at that time. I didn't want to do it, but I committed to her that I would do that for her. I made that commitment, and I didn't drop out. There was another couple that did it with us, and they didn't follow through on that commitment. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I made a commitment to quit smoking. I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Yeah. Today, people make a commitment to smoke, but they buy the patch. All right, I'm done smoking. I'm going to put that patch on. No, you didn't really commit to quit. You still want that substance to coming into you. When you make that commitment, and at the time when I committed to quit smoking, again, I made that commitment to my wife. And God really wasn't in the equation, but behind the scenes we were believers. We prayed. I prayed every day. Through my life I prayed every day, because I learned as a young child to pray to God. I made a commitment with my career. There were things that I thought that I couldn't do, but I committed to do it, and He showed me the way. I made a commitment with my ministry, and He continues to show me the way with my ministry. People wonder why they can't succeed in life, why their marriage fails, why their career is going nowhere. Well, perhaps it's because they have made no commitment to reach their goal. More and more today, I actually see less commitment. It just isn't there in our lives. Commitment is something that scares many people of all ages. I had a nephew who was getting married. And he couldn't even say commitment. He couldn't even say he was committing himself there. They got married. Marriage lasted about a year. I tried to work with them, and I said, you know, just say you're going to be committing yourself to her. He couldn't do it. They lived together for a number of years. And that's what happens. I see this happens. Couples live together for a number of years, and they're really scared to make that commitment. And when they do, marriages usually fail because they had different expectations of what it's going to be about when they made that commitment. It's a shame. So once again, to get the point across, those who make no commitment will find it difficult to succeed. But once you make a commitment and stay with it, you will find that you can reach your goals and succeed. I try to keep my personal commitments that I've made to myself and to God. Notice I said I try. Because Satan is out there working on me. And he will pull me away every opportunity that he gets. And by committing to my relationship with God, I know that there is hope for me. And I can stay on the course. And he's going to strengthen me. And he's going to give me the personal discipline and the responsibility to commit, to stay with the commitments that I made. And you've all heard this. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Everybody's heard that, right? And I remind myself of that. And that comes from Philippians chapter 4 and verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So how am I going to do it through Christ if I haven't made a commitment to Christ? We flirt with it, but did we really take the plunge? One of the biggest commitments in my life, as I said earlier, is my marriage to Linda. Now, we kind of were forgetting about how long it was. It's been so long. But in reality, this April passed. It was 37 years. Bob and Carolyn, just this past week, 25 years. There's a true commitment to each other. And on that wedding day, we all took the vow and we made a covenant with God and each other to honor and cherish till death do us part. However, today, long-term marriages are not the norm anymore because we live in a disposable society. Too many couples break their commitment and wind up separating and in divorce. My belief is if you make the commitment on your wedding day, keep it. If you're unequally yoked when you select your spouse, divorce is going to happen. Because when you have an unequally yoked spouse and you're making a commitment, you're not really committing to each other because nobody is willing to change. And oftentimes I see that with couples. And that happens. Still, there are many couples who decide just to move in together. It's easy. They fear the commitment of marriage. Then it becomes easier to leave when it doesn't work out. Because there was no contract, there was no commitment. And when I counsel engaged couples that are living together, and I say to them, I can understand the reason why you're living together. It's just as cheap for two people, that's actually cheaper for the two people instead of having two rents and two sets of utilities to come under one roof. That's fine. It doesn't say that you have to play house and sleep in the same bedroom. You can live together, and when I counsel these couples, I point that out to them. And when they separate those activities till the day of their marriage, they go, wow, we're glad we did that. Because it made that honeymoon period much better and allowed us to really make a commitment to each other in the oneness that we have for each other and the oneness that we have for God.